People always assume they know me. They think they understand what it's like to be Britney Furlan, the girl who married a rock star, the former Vine celebrity who got lucky and landed Tommy Lee. They see the Instagram posts, the red carpet photos, the carefully curated glimpses of our life together. But nobody saw what was happening behind closed doors. Nobody saw me crying in the bathroom at 3 a.m, while my husband passed out on the couch, an empty bottle of Jack Daniels on the floor beside him. I stare at my reflection in the hotel bathroom mirror, running my fingers through my long dark hair. It's been exactly 14 days since I packed my bags and left our Calabasas mansion. 14 days of unanswered texts, of pretending to the world that everything is fine, of hoping that this ultimatum would finally make Tommy realize he needed help. The separation wasn't my idea. It was our last resort. I'd tried everything else. The gentle suggestions to cut back on drinking, the pleas to attend rehab, the intervention I organized with his bandmates that ended with Tommy storming out, accusing us all of betrayal. Even his children had tried to reach him, to make him see what was happening to him, to us. My phone buzzes on the marble countertop. It's my agent. "Have you seen TMZ?" My heart sinks. Of course. In Hollywood, nothing stays private for long. I open the link she sends, and there it is, splashed across the homepage. Tommy Lee and Britney Furlan separate. Source says his drinking the issue. Below it is a video that Tommy posted yesterday, working on a new song he's calling Stupid Girl. The comment section is already filled with people assuming it's about me. The narrative is forming without my input. Poor Tommy, abandoned by his younger wife when he needed her most. Britney couldn't handle the rock star lifestyle. She knew what she was getting into. But they don't know. They don't know how many nights I stayed up making sure he was breathing. They don't know how many times I cleaned up his messes, both literal and figurative. They don't know that I left because I love him too much to watch him destroy himself. I close the browser and take a deep breath. The time for quiet suffering is over. If Tommy wants to play this out in public, then I'll have to fight back. Not for revenge, but for redemption. His and mine. I first met Tommy in early 2017 through social media. I was the former Vine star trying to reinvent myself. He was the legendary drummer who'd seen it all. Our connection was instant and intense. Within a year, we were engaged. By 2019, we were married. The drinking wasn't always a problem. At first, it was just part of the lifestyle, the occasional wild night, the celebration after a show. But slowly, imperceptibly, it grew. One drink became 3. Weekend indulgences became daily habits. Social drinking became solitary consumption. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten until last year's tour. I joined Tommy on the road, excited to share the experience with him. But each night after performing, he'd disappear into a fog of alcohol that wouldn't lift until the following afternoon, just in time to prepare for the next show. The cycle was relentless. "It's just touring life, babe," he'd say when I expressed concern. "Been doing this for 40 years, it's how I wind down." But it wasn't just winding down, it was winding out of control. His performances began to suffer. The other band members noticed. The crew exchanged glances when he'd miss a cue or fumble a transition. Motley Crue had a reputation to uphold, and Tommy was putting it at risk. I tried to be supportive, to understand the pressure he was under. But when we returned home and nothing changed, I knew we had a serious problem. The breaking point came at a dinner party with friends last month. Tommy had been drinking heavily all evening, getting louder and more belligerent with each glass. When one of our guests, a longtime friend, gently suggested he switch to water, Tommy exploded. "You think you can tell me what to do in my own house?" he shouted, standing up so quickly that his chair toppled backward. "I'm Tommy fucking Lee. I'll drink whatever I want, whenever I want." The room fell silent. I saw the mixture of pity and embarrassment on our friends' faces. This wasn't the Tommy they knew. It wasn't the Tommy I knew either. That night, after everyone had left and Tommy had passed out, I sat alone on our patio, looking out at the lights of Los Angeles glittering below. I realized I was facing the hardest decision of my life. I called his ex-wife Pamela the next day. Despite their tumultuous history, she'd been through this with him before. If anyone would understand, it would be her. "You can't save him, Brittany," she said, her voice soft with the wisdom of hard experience. "He has to save himself, and sometimes the only way they realize they need saving is when they have something to lose." 2 days later, I packed my bags. The TMZ story breaks on a Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, my phone is blowing up with calls from friends, family, and every entertainment journalist in Los Angeles. I decline them all except for one, a text from Kyle, Tommy's personal assistant. "He's spiraling, Britt. Hasn't been sober since you left. He needs you." I stare at the message for a long time. This is exactly why I left, so Tommy would face the consequences of his addiction. But the thought of him suffering alone tears at my heart. No, I have to be strong for both of us. Instead of responding to Kyle, I call my friend Jessica, who works at a prestigious rehabilitation center in Malibu. "I need your help," I tell her. "It's about Tommy." Jessica doesn't hesitate. "Whatever you need. We have a bed available if he's willing to come in." "That's the problem," I say. "He's not willing, at least not yet." "Then we need to make him willing," she replies. "And that starts with changing the narrative." She's right. As long as Tommy can frame our separation as me abandoning him, he'll never take responsibility. I need to shift the story, not just in the media, but in his mind. I hang up and open my laptop. It's time to craft a statement. Not a defensive response to the leaked story, but a message of love and concern. A message that makes it clear that I'm fighting for us, not against him. Before I can begin writing, my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize. "Hello?" I answer tentatively. "Brittany, it's Nikki 6. Tommy's bandmate. The one who's been through his own battles with addiction and come out the other side." "Nikki, hi, how did you get my number?" "That doesn't matter. What matters is Tommy. He showed up at my house an hour ago, completely wasted, saying he's going to release a diss track about you. Said you betrayed him, that you're talking to the press about his drinking." My stomach tightens. I haven't spoken to anyone. The TMZ story didn't come from me. "I know that," Nikki says. But he's not thinking clearly. "Look, I've been where he is. I know what it's like to be in denial, to lash out at the people trying to help you. You need to get ahead of this before he does something he'll regret." I close my eyes, trying to think. Tommy's always been impulsive, especially when he's drinking. If he releases a song attacking me, it could destroy any chance of reconciliation. "What do you suggest?" I ask. "Come to my house. Talk to him face to face. I'll be here to mediate." I hesitate. Confronting Tommy when he's drunk and angry could make things worse. "I don't think that's a good idea, Nikki. He needs to sober up first. Then do a video. Something we can show him. Something that reminds him what he has to lose." I think about it. A video message might work. Something personal that speaks to the Tommy I know is still in there, beneath the alcohol and anger. "Okay," I say. "I'll send you something within the hour." After hanging up, I spend 30 minutes recording and re-recording a video message for Tommy. I want to strike the right balance, firm about my boundaries but clear about my love for him. I talk about our first date, about the dreams we shared, about the future we planned together. I remind him of who he is when he's sober, creative, funny, passionate. I tell him that I didn't leave to hurt him. I left because I couldn't bear to watch him hurt himself anymore. I send the video to Nikki and wait. Hours pass with no response. I try to distract myself by catching up on work emails, but my mind keeps returning to Tommy. Is he watching my message? Is it getting through to him? Finally, just before midnight, my phone rings again. It's Nikki. He watched it, he says, 3 times. Then he broke down crying. I've never seen Tommy like that before. Hope flickers in my chest. What did he say? He asked if you'd meet with him tomorrow. Not to come home, just to talk. He said he'll be sober. I've heard promises like this before, temporary clarity that fades with the sunrise. But something in Nikki's voice tells me this time might be different. Where? I ask. The studio, neutral ground. I'll be there too, and so will his therapist from last year. We won't let him ambush you, Brittany. This is about helping him see the truth. I agree to the meeting, though anxiety keeps me awake most of the night. By the time I arrive at the studio the next day, I've rehearsed what I want to say a dozen times. Tommy is already there when I walk in, sitting behind the mixing console. He looks terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, thinner than when I last saw him 2 weeks ago. But his eyes are clear, sober. Hey, he says softly. Hey, I respond, my carefully prepared speech suddenly forgotten. Nikki and a woman I recognize as Dr. Chen, the therapist Tommy briefly saw last year, sit on a sofa against the wall. They nod encouragingly. I'm sorry, Tommy says, the words tumbling out. For everything, for the drinking, for blaming you, for that stupid song. I stay silent, letting him continue. I've been in a bad place, but that's no excuse. You were right to leave. I wouldn't want to be around me either. It's not about wanting to be around you, Tommy, I say, finding my voice. It's about not being able to watch you destroy yourself. Do you have any idea what it's like to love someone and see them slowly killing themselves? To feel completely powerless to stop it? He winces at my words. I didn't think it was that bad. It's worse, I tell him, and the fact that you can't see it proves my point. Dr. Chen leans forward. Tommy, do you remember what we discussed last year about denial? About how addiction can distort your perception? He nods reluctantly. Brittany isn't here to attack you, she continues. She's trying to help you see what's happening from the outside. Are you willing to listen, really listen to what she has to say? Tommy looks at me, then back to Dr. Chen. Yes, he says finally. I want to hear it. For the next hour, I tell Tommy everything. The escalating drinking, the personality changes, the incidents he doesn't remember, the promises he broke. I tell him how I've watched the man I love disappear into a bottle, how I've lain awake at night terrified that I'll wake up to find him not breathing, how I've started to hate myself for enabling him. He listens without interrupting, though I can see the emotions play across his face. Denial, anger, shame, and finally understanding. When I finish, the studio is silent except for the faint hum of equipment. I had no idea, Tommy says at last. I mean, I knew I was drinking a lot, but Jesus, Britt, I can't believe you've been dealing with all that. Not just me, I say. Your kids, your bandmates, your friends, we've all been watching, all been worried. Nikki speaks up. Tommy, you know I've been there, man. I nearly died from this shit. You saw it happen. I don't want that for you. Tommy runs his hands through his hair, a gesture so familiar it makes my heart ache. So what now? He asks. What do you want me to do? This is the moment I've been waiting for. The opening I need. I want you to get help, I say, real help, not just a promise to cut back or a few sessions with a therapist. I want you to check into rehab. I expect resistance, but instead Tommy just looks deflated. And if I do, will you come home? That's not how this works, I tell him gently. You need to do this for yourself, not for me. Not to save our marriage. You need to want sobriety for your own sake. But there's a chance, right? He persists. If I get clean, if I stay clean, there's a chance for us. I look into his eyes. Those same eyes that captivated me when we first met. That still hold the spark of the man I fell in love with. Yes, I say, there's a chance, but it has to be real, Tommy, no half measures. He nods slowly. Okay, I'll do it. When? Today, Nikki interjects. We've already made the arrangements. A car's waiting outside to take you to the facility. Tommy looks startled. Now? But I need to... Nothing that can't wait, Dr. Chen says firmly. This is how recovery begins, Tommy, with a decision and immediate action before you can talk yourself out of it. Tommy looks at me, seeking reassurance. I reach out and take his hand. I'll be here when you get out, I promise, but you have to do the work. He squeezes my hand, then lets go. Okay, As Nikki leads Tommy out to the waiting car, Dr. Chen stays behind with me. That was brave, she says, both of you. I nod, tears threatening. Will it work? Rehab is just the beginning, she cautions. Recovery is a lifelong process. There will be setbacks, relapses maybe. It won't be a straight line. I know, I say, but it's a start. 3 months pass. Spring turns to summer in Los Angeles. Tommy completes his 30-day program and transitions to intensive outpatient therapy. He moves into a sober living house rather than returning home. His decision, one that shows me he's taking this seriously. We see each other 3 times a week. Careful, supervised visits at first, then casual lunches, and finally, date nights. He's different sober, more present, more emotionally available. He laughs more easily. The creative spark that alcohol had dampened blazes anew. His relationship with his children improves. He reconciles with bandmates he'd alienated. He starts working on new music, not angry songs born of resentment, but powerful, raw tracks that document his journey through addiction and recovery. One evening in August, we sit on a blanket at the beach watching the sunset. It's the first time we've been truly alone together since the separation. I have something for you, Tommy says, reaching into his pocket. He pulls out a small velvet box. Inside is a ring, not an engagement ring, but a simple band inscribed with a date. Today's date. What's this, I ask. It's a promise, he says, a new beginning if you're ready. I look at the ring, then at the man holding it, the man who fought his way back from the brink, who did the hardest thing a person can do, face his own demons. I'm ready, I say, slipping the ring onto my finger. Later that night, Tommy posts a photo of us on Instagram, the first public acknowledgement of our reconciliation. The caption reads simply, "Worth fighting for. Yeah, we're grateful. One day at a time." Within minutes, the post goes viral. Entertainment news sites pick up the story, but the narrative has changed. It's no longer about separation and scandal. It's about redemption, about love that's strong enough to weather the darkest storms. My phone buzzes with a notification. It's a direct message from a woman I don't know. Saw your story, it reads. My husband is struggling with alcohol too. I've been afraid to confront him. You've given me courage. Thank you. I show the message to Tommy. He reads it silently, then looks at me with tears in his eyes. You saved me, he says. I shake my head. No, you saved yourself. I just refuse to watch you drown. He pulls me close, and I rest my head on his shoulder. Outside, the lights of Los Angeles twinkle below us, the same view I looked at on that terrible night when I thought our story was ending. I was wrong. It was just beginning. 6 months later, Tommy celebrates 180 days of sobriety. Mötley Crüe announces a new album, their most critically acclaimed in decades. I relaunch my podcast, now focusing on relationships, mental health, and addiction recovery. We move out of the Calabasas mansion, too many bad memories, and into a more modest home by the ocean. Fresh start, fresh space. The tabloids eventually lose interest in our story. There's always new drama, new scandals to chase. But occasionally when Tommy speaks at recovery events or I share our experience on my podcast, the media takes notice again. How did you do it? They inevitably ask. How did you save your marriage? I always give the same answer. We didn't save our marriage. We built a new one. On honesty, on accountability, on the understanding that love isn't just about standing by someone. Sometimes it's about walking away until they're ready to walk with you. It isn't a revenge story. It's a redemption story. Not just for Tommy, but for me too. For the woman who found the strength to draw a boundary. For the wife who loved her husband enough to risk losing him in order to save him. And that's the thing about true redemption. It doesn't come from destroying your enemies. It comes from refusing to let your struggles destroy you. From finding the courage to rebuild what was broken, even when it would be easier to walk away. Some evenings, when Tommy is playing drums in our home studio, clear-eyed, passionate, alive, I think about that hotel room where I stayed during our separation, about the woman who stared into the mirror, wondering if she was doing the right thing. I wish I could tell her that yes, it was the hardest right thing she'd ever do, but I can't go back. I can only go forward with the man who beat his demons one day at a time, the man who proved that some loves are worth fighting for, even if the fight isn't what you expected, even if winning means surrendering, even if the happiest ending comes after the story seems over. Disclaimer. This story is based on real public events involving public figures, but has been significantly fictionalized for storytelling purposes. The thoughts, feelings, private conversations, and motivations described are entirely fictional and should not be considered factual accounts of real events or people. This story is presented purely for entertainment purposes.